guys, I'm in England right now, so I'm filming this to show to you. So I am doing the topic of weathering and erosion. So I have 3 models here that show the different kind of weathering, as my handy dandy camera lady will show you eventually. Yes, so weathering, we are going to start by talking about biological weathering. So if you look at my first model here, very nice. So this is supposed to be like a cross section of like land. So if you were to go outside to like, I don't know if you can tell if we're in South Foyer, but if you were to go outside to the bus stop or whatever and just cut out like a chunk where a tree was, it would essentially look like this. I mean, there would be more layers in between the grass and the rock, but just for argument's sake, just go with it. Okay. So what's happening is there's a tree growing on top, beautiful. And there are roots that are coming down and they're seeping into the cracks in the rock. So that's what's going on the sides here. So if there was like another rock here, this would be in between the 2 sections and it would be inside the crack. And what happens is these roots will seep in and they'll break the 2 sections away from one another. And that's what biological weathering is. Because essentially weathering is the breakdown of rocks. So biological is when plants or animals cause it. So in this case it's plants. So that's biological weathering. Okay, so now we're on to chemical weathering. And basically this is supposed to be the side of a mountain. And I know it doesn't look very good, but just pretend it does. So at the top here we have some brown sugar. And I know it's not really like in one unified little ball, but pretend it's solid rock. And yeah, so it's at the top of the mountain and then it's gonna go down. You're gonna see that in a second. So I have a little water spray bottle here. So this is gonna be like rain. So I'm gonna spray it onto the solid rock and then the rock's gonna dissolve. So let me do that right now. This is not working. Okay, that's good enough. So as you can see, it just rained on the solid rock and now it's dissolved and it's traveling down. So that's what chemical weathering is essentially. It's the breakdown of rocks through chemical processes. So in this case it was hydrolysis, which was the rain and hydro, water, whatnot. So that's how the rock was broken down. And there's also like some minor erosion going on here because erosion is essentially the transport of weathered materials across a certain amount of distance. So in this case, the weathered materials were traveling downhill. Usually erosion is like across a very far landscape, but just so you can kind of get an idea of what it is, in this case it was just short. So yeah, erosion is the transport of materials and weathering is the breakdown of materials. So make sure you know that because it's kind of important. Okay. So the last type of weathering is called physical weathering, and essentially the kind I'm going to show you is called freeze thawing. And usually physical weathering happens when there's a change in temperature. So with freeze thawing, what happens is there will be a rock, which is this whole entire thing, and water will seep in through a crack. So let's say this big hole is a crack. And in this case, the water is being represented by a plastic bag. And when water expands, when it freezes, it expands. So I'm gonna make the bag expand by blowing into the straw, and it's gonna break down the rock, as you're gonna see in a second. So as you can see, the rock was broken apart because those pieces all fell, and that's essentially what happens when something freeze thaws. Usually it's like 2 pieces of rock and then the water will seep in the middle and then they'll just kind of spread apart. So usually it's just the 2 pieces, but in this case I decided to show you like multiple pieces breaking off because I thought it would help you understand better. So that's what physical weathering is. To conclude, I've shown you the 3 different types of weathering, which are biological, chemical, and physical. And just to go over what weathering is again, it's the breakdown of materials, and then in comparison, erosion is the transport of materials. So thanks for watching this, I guess, and I'll see you in a few weeks.